It is Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as usual. And Patrick, we got a lot to get to today. First off, how you doing though?
I'm doing just fine. Doing just fine. Got an extra hour of sleep because I'm down in Fort Myers for a month. So anyway, it's that's an 7:30 is almost like in the middle of the day for us old people. So
You
it's
having
fine.
you gonna after this? You go get the lunch special, right? Right after this.
Yeah, well, you gotta, and you get hungry at this time of day because you eat dinner at 4. You gotta get you gotta, you gotta get in there and fight them at the whatever the names of the places were. Anyway,
Oh,
Denny's, or there's a
there
Denny's
you go.
right up the street. Yeah, we
Nice.
could go there for the 4 o'clock special every day.
Well, first, I want to talk first today, Patrick, about the Timberwolves. They won pretty easily last night, beat Houston 35 and 15 now after 50 games. I think that's tied for best record in franchise history through 50 games with, of course, the best team in franchise history, the 2003-4 team. And Chris Finch, we find out last night, will be coaching the Wolves, well, coaching two Wolves players, but coaching the Western Conference All-Stars. Maybe just kind of a time to pause and say, man, quite a quite a journey for Chris Finch.
Now, I got to ask you a question. Do we
Yes.
still have West and East, or do we divide up the
Yeah,
players?
I think I'm trying to remember now.
They name a coach from each conference.
They
I know
do.
that, but
I
I don't know if it's Team LeBron against Team something or other, or they don't. Did they go back to East West? I think they
I
went back to East West,
I
but I'm
think they
not
did.
sure.
Yeah, I think there was. I think it got kind of awkward with the
Mhm.
other way around. So I think you're
Yes,
right. I'll do. You talk about Chris Finch. I'll confirm that.
yes. Well, it's a great story. I mean, the guy's played basketball in England. He's a junkie. Then he became a coach in the British Basketball League. He was 6, 7 years. Then he went to Germany one year and he got fired after 14 games or something. The team he went to in Germany did not meet expectations, and Gesundheit, they fired him. And then he went back to the Belgian league and was really good there for a couple of years before he made his way back to the States. So he's a basketball lifer, came up from the grassroots to say the least. And I've always I've never thought he was a problem. Some people who think they know basketball like to complain about him, but I appreciate his candor and. I think low ego too. He seems like a low ego guy
Yeah.
who's for good reason. He's got low ego. He slept around all those years, and doesn't strike me as quite the he was an assistant, and some of the greatest gossips in the world are NBA assistants, but he hasn't struck me as that kind of a guy. But he's not trying to BS you after when they play rotten. He tells you that. And, I said on Twitter that I suspect that he'll say that his team's defense was
Yeah,
disgusting
I
in
was
the All Star game
they gave up like
because they don't play
they
a
gave up
lot.
like 180 in the All-Star game.
180, yes. I mean, that's, it is, to me, it's just a sad, sad thing that has happened in this country to All-Star games, to the point the NFL had to stop playing them,
Yes.
is who decided that you can't guard anybody? I
Right.
mean, that you can't tackle anybody, you can't guard anybody, you can't, defend anybody in hockey. You got to play 3-on-3 in hockey, and I didn't even know is the hockey tournament still it's still 4 teams from each conference, or is it now they got named teams or something? I don't know. I have watched zero of
Yeah,
the
me too.
NHL All Star game in my entire life, so I don't know. But I saw something about Team Matthews and something like that. I don't know if that's for the skills contest or whatever they did last night, but I mean, All Star games just they used to play them. You go out and
Right.
play. You didn't run into each other, and you didn't run over the goalie or anything like that, or hack anybody. he might have hacked Shaq, so he'd miss free throws. But the fact that the only one that mimics the actual sport is baseball.
Yes.
So yes, so I think it's great that Finch is getting to coach the team. It's who's coaching the East, by the way. Did my guy Tibbs didn't make it? Did he? No, Celtics
No.
guy probably.
Yeah,
The
it's got to be
Celtics
the Celtics coach. Yep.
Celtics guy. So, boy, the East got a little shook up when Embiid got hurt, huh? Oof.
Yes. Yeah, and he's
Yeah,
having surgery now, but
yeah. Knee surgery probably be back for the playoffs, but they'll be bad then. I think it's a meniscus type thing, right? It's
yes.
not the
Right.
ACL.
No, it's
So
a meniscus. So it's
anyway,
remember when Jimmy had the meniscus that year that he was here? He had
yeah,
to miss
he
like
missed
20
about him.
games.
Yeah, he did. We forget that year that they won 46 and he missed 20.
I think it was
That was
46 or 47. And yeah, you're right. They were
yeah,
at the All-Star break too. I believe they were like third in the West, and then they kind of plummeted
yeah,
that year.
yeah. That was a good team, but they ended up with an 8 seed. So
Yes.
that's you're right. I think they went 48, but they ended up with an
40,
8 seed. I think
47,
so.
48, yeah, something like that. But
That
yeah,
that was a tough sledding in the West that year.
yes.
So anyway, but the boys finally shaped up last night and put somebody away instead of messing around like they have been doing, huh?
Yes, yes, they did. And we have confirmed, sources have indicated that we are back to a regular East-West format for the All-Star game this year, which we thought.
Oh,
So
all
yeah, so
right.
it's good for him. Yeah, I like him. He's been on this show a couple times. He's just a good, kind of solid guy. He knows basketball. I get the sense that, when they brought him in initially, it seemed like he was more of an offensive coach. I feel like that was maybe more of his reputation, but
Yes, it was.
he's kind of come to understand that, hey, I've got, a guy who's been a defensive player of the year. I've got Jaden McDaniels who's pretty good. I've got Anthony Edwards who can guard some people. This has got to be our identity. So the fact that he can be flexible enough to play not necessarily a completely different style, but to know what their strength is and to not say, "Oh, I'm an offensive coach. We got to play this way." That's been impressive to me this season.
Well, and if Rudy, if you're gonna play a game that de-emphasizes defense, then you make him completely useless.
Yes.
Because he's not going to be running up and down the floor and making 12 footers and stuff like that. I give him a lot of credit for this year that whatever they came up with over the summer and whatever they started instituting when they got all the players back to make this team operate okay. Because last year, I wouldn't have given a nickel for the fact that the Cat and Gobert ever
Right.
learned how to play together. It was a mess all year. Of course, Cat missed 50 games, so it's a little hard to figure out a system then. But the fact that they have made Rudy very valuable again is a tribute to this whole operation and this coaching staff because I was ready to declare it the worst trade in the history of Minnesota sports, upsetting the Herschel Walker trade and a couple others I suppose we could come up with, but it's working. So,
Yes.
and now the whole theory of making the trade was you're only giving up 24th draft choices. Number
Yes.
24 is number 26. If you're going to give me, if you would have been giving up 8, 9, 10, 11s, and 12s, that would have looked pretty bad. So,
Yes.
yeah, and he's done who's ever been responsible, whoever, he obviously was the big picture guy as they were trying to figure out how to do it, and it's worked. So, well, they've been frustrating, but at times, and Ants decided to campaign against the officials. He's got the maturity of about a 12-year-old, but that's last night he decided to play, went and got 22 in the third quarter. So
Outscored him by himself in the third quarter.
and no meltdowns when he thought he got hacked. And apparently he was okay with the officials last night. They did work up to his standard, did they last night?
They
So
did, I think. Yes, they did.
yeah, this is when you got when you're out whining Cat, you're accomplishing something. And he's kind of brought out the worst in Cat again, because Cat was kind of tempering that whining for the first, 30 games of the year, 40. And the last few times, now I don't know, last night I didn't see it, but the last few times he was back to the raising the hands and saying, I got hacked. And then Ant deciding to make you can't win a crusade against the officials.
No.
He hasn't been around long enough to, LeBron complains. Well, yeah, LeBron's 38 and he's played 1,000 years and he's probably the best basketball player of all time. So he can, he can do that and you can't. But I don't know. Ant's, he's going to be mercurial. Look up mercurial
Yeah.
in the dictionary. That's him, man.
He and Cat, though, all stars with Finch. I
Yes.
mean, it's just
Oh,
it's kind
yeah.
of funny. Like the Wolves have gone through enough like stretches over the last like 6 weeks, kind of ever since the right before Christmas, and then up until now, where they've been not nearly as consistent. People have been complaining, at times, and rightfully so. I've done the same things. Like they just don't quite look the same. They're complaining about this, complaining about that. Like you compare this to places they've been in their history, though. It's just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what are they complaining about? What is
Oh,
anybody
this
complaining
is
about? This is,
they have
they're
to
so
have
far
more
ahead.
games. They have to have more games in their history where they haven't won 35 games than when they have won 35
More
games, right?
seasons. I feel like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
more
think I saw,
seasons. Yeah,
like, I think
I would get.
I think I looked it up the other day, and I think I saw a Gleeman tweet it the other day, like 21 seasons where they haven't won this many games out of their history, out of like
So yeah,
35,
about
60%.
yeah, that's right. I mean, well, when they got the 16, they beat two of their seasons. So
Yeah, it's true. That's true. That's sad. Yeah, they've had,
or three of their seasons or something.
yeah,
So
it's
yeah, I
sad.
mean, it is amazing, but I do like the fact we're whining that Gobert didn't make the all. Now
Right.
all of a sudden we won
Right.
three All Stars out of.
Right.
They only put 12 on a team there. That to make the NBA All Star team is tough to make,
Yes.
and there's always good players that didn't make it, and you can't whine about
No.
not having three, for goodness sakes. You let Rudy have the weekend off anyway.
Yeah,
Who
it's
cares?
probably just as well to have Rudy have the weekend off. And I think he even talked about it. He's like, I'm just gonna go sit on a beach somewhere. I'll be okay. Don't
Uh-huh.
need that at this point in his career. But yeah, I mean, it's a different spot for them to be in, especially, beginning of the year. It's not that long ago that we were like, man, what's going to happen with this team? Like I was in full on like, oh, like they got to do something about the salaries at some point. What are they going to do with Cat? And what are they going to trade him at the trade deadline? Which, by the way, trade deadline's only 2 days away.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything with the core. They're looking to kind of add around the edges if they're doing anything. Like this has come together in a way that I did not expect. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, me neither. I did not expect them to figure out how to play with Rudy, but Rudy's been a great asset to them, and it makes Tim Connolly look a lot smarter than I thought he
Yes.
was because you just couldn't. I wasn't a guy who immediately said how they can give all that up, but after seeing them try to make it work last year, I thought
Yes.
this is a disaster. Rudy didn't look athletic last year.
No.
He now looks athletic. He must not have been healthy. He must
Yeah,
have
I
been
think that's what it is.
banged up a little bit because he's much more athletic this year than he was last year. Last year he was lumbering around. It wasn't just unfamiliarity. It was something else going on there too. So yeah, it's they got a 4 game road trip right before the All Star break. So
Yeah.
like to split on that one. They did give away a couple of games at home. Although Orlando's a good club,
Yeah,
I
Orlando's
didn't
not a
think that was a big disaster loss. But uh, yeah, it's the attendance has been terrific, and the team's 35-15. It's hard to complain.
Grand Casino would like to take a moment and salute the true football fan. The passion, the hope, the anticipation, that incomparable feeling of winning. Grand Casino would also like to take a moment to remind you that you can find all that anticipation, thrill, and winning at Grand Casino. Grand Casino, let your story begin.
Not hard to complain about the Twins TV situation. They are back on Bally Sports North for another year. Doesn't sound like there's any kind of like streaming option that goes with that. They're going to maybe sort everything out once we get to 25, more of a long-term thing. So I don't know. I don't. This was kind of the solution I thought they were headed towards for the last month or so. But anybody I talked to, not terribly happy that they're back on Bally Sports North for one more year. It's not the worst thing in the
Well,
world. People will find them, but I think
look,
people were ready to move on.
it's awful for the attracting any kind of a younger crowd, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
because they don't, they don't have a streaming.
Right.
Everybody's streaming, and
Right.
you can buy the Bally app, but nobody wants to buy the Bally app because all they read about is the Bally app's not working.
Well, and they're
You
not
know,
on the
all
Bally
nationally.
app. They aren't on the Bally
They're
app.
not giving it, so they're not even giving them the Bally app
I don't
this
think
year,
so.
right?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I
Okay.
mean, I don't think we haven't seen the full details because it's not been approved by the bankruptcy judge. So we haven't heard any kind of like details of everything that spells out.
But
Everything that Phil Miller has been writing, everything I've heard is that yeah, there's no streaming component to it this year.
So yeah, that'll be so that's worse than last year then.
No, it's the same. I mean, they
Well,
weren't
did
on. They
they
didn't
had
have it
the
last.
app last year, didn't
They
they?
weren't
They
on the
didn't
app
have it.
last year. No, they had the Wolves and Wild were on the app last year. If you
Oh,
bought the standalone package, they were on the app, but
okay.
they do not have the streaming rights. They did not have the streaming rights last year, so you could watch the Wolves and Wild on that Bally Sports Plus app, but you couldn't watch the Twins. And if that seems to be what's going to be the case this year, now I don't want to say that for sure because we don't know the full details, but that's kind of what it seems like right now. So they just kind of basically they just kind of took the best deal they could get for a year, took the money that they could get. I don't even know what the money is going to be, but we'll see that. I don't know exactly. It's not going to be 55 million. That's for sure. That's what they got
Yeah,
last year.
and yeah, it's a disaster basically because didn't they promise Corey Provis to be switched from
Yes.
radio to TV that he'd have a streaming app? He
Yes.
got a sacred promise
They said
from
no.
them,
Well, he
and
said the blackouts are done. That was the thing he said. The
yeah,
blackouts are going to be done. So maybe we'll.
are the blackouts done?
We don't know yet. Maybe. I mean,
I mean,
if
is
they
it
are,
the
if
poor
they
people
are,
in
then
Iowa? Are the poor people in Iowa still not going to be able to watch six teams or something like
we
that?
don't know. That's what we still don't know. Like, it's February. You're down in Florida. You got baseball fever. Like, spring training's only a week or two away, and we still don't know a lot of the fine print of this. I
Well,
guess is how I would put it.
obviously, their deal with Amazon, they were kind of trying to blackmail the Twins into giving them streaming rights for years into the future, the
Right.
way it must have been, and the Twins weren't going to do that. So it's not a great triumph for our friend Dave St. Peter, that's for sure. I don't know who
No, at
was
least
doing
not
the
in
negotiation, but
yeah, at least not in the short term.
somebody must have said, "Take what you can get." So.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then they've been using that
Cable
all off
is
season.
dead.
What?
Cable is dead. Cable is dead. You got to have a streaming option for goodness sakes. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
They,
nobody under 60. I don't even have cable, and I'm the cable demographic.
yes.
Ancient.
Yes.
It's so if there's not a 40-year-old in the state of Minnesota can watch a Twins game.
Wow.
There's none of them.
There's two I think there's two services still that do have them, but it's not the biggest. Like Fubo TV, I think carries Bally Sports, and one other DirecTV Stream I think has it. But it's the thing the thing that killed them for those 3 or 4 now is like all the major streaming carriers dropping it, like YouTube TV
Yes,
and
yeah.
Hulu and
When I first switched, I was on. What was I on? I was on. I don't know.
I had Sling at the beginning, and that
No,
had
I didn't have Sling, and I didn't have Hulu. I don't think. I think I had Hulu,
okay.
and then I don't know why I had Hulu, and then they dropped them.
Yeah.
So I went to YouTube, and YouTube about a month later, YouTube dropped them.
Yeah.
So you got to go and try to pirate them from some damn place. So yeah, it's a mess in baseball. I thought our genius commissioner was going to come up with a solution,
Yes.
and he has not. So
Not yet. I guess the solution's coming next year. That's kind of what they keep saying. So we'll have to do it for one more year. And they've been using this
but
as the thing all year. Is they're saying we can't spend money because we don't know the TV thing. Well, they know it now, but they haven't. They signed Carlos Santana, and like a lot of the pitchers they're signing are like kind of
Oh
really
man,
low leverage bargain guys.
every day they sign a new pitcher and take somebody they claimed off the 40 man because they're full now, right? They're
I think
full
so.
with
Yeah. Yes.
all these. They claimed somebody yesterday, Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
I saw a headline that says Twins claim veteran pitcher reliever Jackson, and I thought Mike Jackson's back. He's 60, but it wasn't Mike Jackson. It was
No.
some guy I never heard of, Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
So I had never heard of Joe Jackson. But yeah, they're just bringing in all these bodies for the. They keep claiming these guys and then putting them back on waivers, hoping that nobody will claim them, and then they can have them in minor league camp, or not in
Right.
minor league camp, but invite them to camp as minor leaguers. So yeah, but they haven't. I don't know. I can't. Carlos Santana is going to be 38 years old here shortly. He was terrible half the year last year. Then he got a little better. He'll draw a walk, hit a home run, can play first base, but I'd a hell of a lot rather have Jorge Polanco than Carlos Santana. I'll tell you that. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
he's useful, but he doesn't move he does not move the off he doesn't move the offseason needle, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's not act like he's a big addition here. I mean, nobody wanted him, obviously. He's been around forever, and he was a good player 3-4 years ago, but and he walks about 100 times a year. But so what? Then he gets to first base. How are you going to get him to home plate unless somebody hits a home run? He's not going to steal second. I guarantee you that.
No.
So I'm not excited about that at all. I'm not excited about anything they've done this offseason, but they told us they were going to do it. I'm not convinced they're still not trying to trade Kepler too.
Yeah. Although I had Bobby Nightingale on the other day late last week, and he's made the good point. Like, you trade Kepler, you're going to have you're one injury away from some trouble unless you've got some different depth out there.
Right. Because that makes Larnach your left fielder and Wallner your right fielder, and Larnach, I don't know if you got enough confidence in him to say he's an everyday player for you. So. What I would do is if you keep Kepler and then tell Larnach and Wallner whoever has the best spring gets to stay.
Yeah, but then you're also counting on Buxton being healthy at that point too.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's a guy like Austin Martin's going to have to be on the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although knowing he's getting to be 24, 25, something like that.
He's got it's probably about time for him to be up here and see what he can do.
So they got. Either him or Nick Gordon will be the backup center fielder. And knowing the Twins, they might, start the year with Austin Martin in the minors to do the old not even though they always worry to some degree about starting the clock. But
right.
That with a guy like him, his age, I would give him a chance to prove he's the center fielder, because I got news for you. The minimum. Another center fielder is going to have to play is 60 games next year.
Yes.
Maybe more. Maybe 100, maybe 140.
They would be thrilled with 60, Patrick. That would mean Buxton started 100 games. They would be thrilled with that. Yeah.
Well, it's no matter what they're telling you, this is the last desperate act. If he can't play, they don't know what they're going to do with him, because I think they decided watching him last year, DH is not the answer.
No, it is not. I think
did he end up hitting?
215?
Did he end up hitting 215?
It was not good. I mean, for a while it was okay, and then it just seemed like as the year went on, he just didn't like it, right? He just wasn't good at it, and he was hurt, so you had a lot of that.
The biggest problem is, the biggest reason is standing. You're on your with that knee. He's it's not running and catching the ball. It's standing out there for 9 minutes and then coming back to the dugout, and then standing out there for 9 minutes again. And it's waiting for a ball to be hit to you. And that's people laugh about that, but that is wear and tear on bad legs when you're just out there standing.
He hit 207 last year, Patrick. 207.
Oh, yeah.
207.
It's if he proves in spring training he can't do it, I guess you leave him down there. But you can't. I don't know what you do if he can't play center field. It's just time to settle up, How
Yeah,
about, by the way, was that photo I saw of Miguel Sano, was that AI?
I didn't
Did you
see it.
see
I
it?
didn't see it.
Did you see it? There's
No,
a
because
Jim Lindetti. Jim
someone just
Lindetti
signed
did
him,
it.
right? Someone signed him to a minor league
Oh,
deal.
he looks younger than he did. He did with they got him in an Angels uniform,
Okay.
but I'm wondering if we're being suckered in here because it looks like him. They got the skinny face, but uh, Jim Linetti on Twitter. Well,
Oh yeah.
I retweeted the picture on my Twitter of him. It doesn't look like he's skinnier than he was when I had my picture taken with him in 2015.
Yeah, I
And
would. A lot of those are probably like old picture, new
that
uniform
they
kind of
put in
thing.
a new uni. Maybe they
Yeah.
did. Maybe they did. I don't know. But if this is him, he looks kind of aged, but this is him. It's unbelievable what he did to himself. Finally got serious, but again, there are a lot of people trying to fool other people on Twitter these days, so you can't go with
Yes.
100%. But anyway, good luck to Miguel there. They could use him. They could use him. Go out and hit some home runs and replace Shohei in their hearts. What do you think the Angels are going to draw this year? About 800,000.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
it's gonna be a tough one for them, right? With no.
The Dodgers are going to draw 5 million. They're going to draw 500,000 out there. So
Yeah, no, it's gonna be an interesting year for the Twins. I just kind of feel like just say I can't get a read on them right now, but there's
uh, you
nothing too
like the
exciting.
lineup. If Lewis
Yeah.
is playing every day,
Yes.
if Lewis doesn't get hurt, you like Julian's bat. He can
Yep.
hit. I think he'll get better. He won't take quite as many third strikes. Wallner turned out to be a better player. Wallner's going to strike out a lot and probably hit 220, but he's a hell of an outfielder and great arm and can hit 900-foot home runs when he hits them. And you only have one Joey Gallo this year, not two, so that helps. And a lot of it depends on Buxton for sure. But I think they were also trying to get rid of Vasquez, right? But I don't think they'll
Yeah,
be
no,
able
they're
to do
definitely
that.
gonna.
Who wants to pay him?
It's a
So
lot of $10 million. They have to pay some of that, and it's even if he's making more than you'd like him to make, he's kind of insurance too. You don't know if
yeah,
the minute you
Jeffers
give
could
up on
get
that, the minute you have a problem again if Jeffers
and
has a
and yeah,
backslide. So
and the pitchers still like
yes,
throwing to Vasquez better than Jeffers. So
yeah, no, they're interesting this year. I don't know. We'll see what they've got. The pitching you got to strain to love the pitching, but Derek Falvey, is I think by and large has done a good job, right? Like he knows what he's doing. A lot of the trades he's made, he's not afraid to kind of go for it to a certain degree. And, a lot of the trades he makes, you're like, oh, well, what are they up to there? And then they turn out to be pretty good. So I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for the roster going into 24. They seem to know what they're doing over there more often than not.
well, they'll appreciate you saying that. So
It's about it's about as it's
we'll
about as complimentary as I get for any GMs around here. So we'll say that.
okay. All right. All right.
Um,
Well, and the good thing is that they didn't give him a $325,000 raise for what he did last year. Maybe they did, but they didn't have to announce it. So
is that our segue into
unlike
Mark Coyle,
that's our
Gophers?
segue into Mark Coyle getting a 325,000 extension through 2030, and he owes us $1 million if he leaves. What
Make,
is this?
makes me
What is this?
Makes
The
me
guy.
uncomfortable. Makes me uncomfortable to be talking about contracts into 2030, by the way. It makes me feel old. But anyway, yes, the
Yes,
guy, I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know.
Yes, well, but here's the deal. I mean, he's got no interest in anything but football. He might fire Ben Johnson to help the basketball situation, but I don't think he would help because I think Ben Johnson deserves another year.
Yes.
But people are, people are. What has he done? What has he done to deserve this? It's not like they got this. Volleyball's not as good as it was.
Yeah.
Football's mediocre.
Yeah.
Maybe you can say high mediocre, but it's mediocre.
They're high
He keeps
mediocre.
giving him. Keeps giving him more. Keeps giving him more raises. Did you see? Fleck sent out this. They sent out this release of Fleck adding like 12 more guys to his
Yes.
payroll over there,
Yes.
12 people. They got this massive amount of money they're spending on football. They don't care about anything else. I mean, the guy's got the personality of the wall. I don't get it. I mean, I don't get what the requirement to give him a 2-year extension.
No.
As I said, either Vermont or Weber State was trying to get him. So I guess they were trying to get lured away. Maybe the Catamounts wanted him. Who wanted him? Nobody wanted him. Tried to get the Southern Cal job, and they laughed at him. So anyway. I don't get it, to say the least.
That was the best thing that coaches ever did, and maybe it expands to ADs these days, where they convinced them that you got to have them extended through like the whole recruiting cycle, which in the COVID era is like 7 years. So you got to have them, got to have them through 2030. You got to make sure that the whole regime is going to be there, because you wouldn't want anybody.
Especially in the transfer portal era, where they're all, if they're not playing, they're going to leave anyway. So but that was a great scam that they. I wonder who was the first. I've always said the greatest scam artist ever was the first guy in the NFL who came up with offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators.
Right.
Because then we're not mad at him when the offense stinks or the defense stinks. We got to fire the coordinator instead of fire the head coach. Well, the best ever, the best in college, particularly football, is I don't even think the basketball coaches have the guts to say that anymore, do they? That they have to get the extension to keep the recruits.
No.
But football coaches, man, they got to know that I'm going to be coaching them 6 years from now when their eligibility runs out. That is unbelievable.
They can't do that anymore.
Yeah, yes.
Royal Credit Union's smart checking accounts offer no monthly fees and no minimum balance. Enjoy financial freedom when you open your Royal Credit Union smart checking account online at rcu.org/go-checking. Insured by NCUA.
Basketball, you mentioned Ben Johnson. I mean, they're 5-5 now in the Big Ten. They haven't had a halftime lead in the Big Ten yet. Marcus was on last week. The first 9 games, they had trailed at halftime. Northwestern, they were tied, and they tried to give that one away the other day. They had some bad moments down the stretch, but they still won in overtime. Like 5-5 in the Big Ten. Big game against Michigan State tomorrow night at Williams Arena. I mean, this is, again, we keep saying we don't know. We know they're not great yet, but they're a lot better than they were. And so you probably give Ben you give Ben at least another year. I mean, at this point.
he gets. They always said it was going to be a 4-year, and if he would have went 4, and they picked him the coaches picked him to finish last. The media finished last, so you knew they were better, and they played nobody. They they played
terrible,
the worst non-conference schedule in the country for a major conference team. And so anytime we talk about they had a 9-game winning streak or something, I want to barf. But but they're better. They're pretty good up front. Garcia's good offensively. I like the Joseph and Payne. Payne's been banged up, but he's back now.
He played a lot. Joseph hasn't played as much lately.
Guy.
Yeah,
he's a big, strong guy, and they got a little depth up there, and their guards are okay. Hawkins is. I hated him early in the year because all he did was dribble around but he's gotten better, and they're okay. They could use a shooter, but who can? So. Yeah, they're okay, but this idea that, oh man, if we don't draw a big crowd for Michigan State, we never will. Oh, really? You've been bad for 5-6 years, for goodness sakes. You've already turned off. Everybody's. You had less than 4,000 for your entire non-conference schedule. If you get 9,000 people to actually show up these days, you should be happy.
Right.
It's happening all over the country, not just here. People aren't going to college basketball games like they, there's some places where you'll have a madhouse, but and then not everybody, not traditionally like it used to be, and people have stopped going to college sports events in big numbers, and this is. And you've given them many, many reasons not to show up in this beloved dump of ours, which is when they're talking about remodeling, you know what they're going to do? They're going to try to figure out how to make it 10,000 seats
Yeah.
because that's the new trend. I mean, people tell me that the best arena in the Big Ten is Rutgers. It holds 8,000.
Yeah.
It's new. Everything's modern. It's full. When they play for the most part, and that's what everybody's doing is downsizing their arenas because TV runs college basketball now, and people are not going to the games. That place has been a pain in the ass to go to for 100 years, and now people are just you give them an excuse to stop coming.
Yes.
It's very difficult to get him to start coming again.
That's a good point.
That's right. And
Yeah.
Michigan and a mediocre Michigan State team is not going to, if the barn's not full, I don't know when it's going to be. Well, never.
Never,
okay?
probably.
It's never.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
done. It's over. The old barn is not, oh, it was so great. Yeah. When it was full. Well, that was 1997 when they went when they won the Big Ten and went to the Final Four. That was full then. Yes,
It was 27
Stop
years ago.
talking about it,
Yeah.
dummies. You're not filling it up again.
No. Good rant. That was a good
Yeah.
unplanned rant. That was good.
Mhm.
You're right though, and the place they can fill up these days, which was having a struggle for a while, is the hockey arena. They played Wisconsin over the weekend. That was in Wisconsin though this time, but it sounded like Motzko was not happy with the
They had two
the
goals
calls.
taken away.
Yeah,
Had two goals taken away. He went off,
yeah, he did.
and it was. I was exchanging texts with Mike Hastings about something else last
Okay.
night, and I did throw at the bottom. The rival coach was not happy, and all I got back was a smiley face or something like that. Those guys are St. Cloud buddies.
Oh, yeah.
They were both
Yeah.
up there at the same
Right.
time. And anyway, that's Michigan State. How about that? Michigan State's going to end up winning the Big Ten.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
They were probably picked 6th or 7th. I don't even know who's coaching them, but they fired. They brought in they fired some guy and brought in that they thought was going to turn it around and had a terrible time, and they got a new coach there, and they're winning. And Hastings replaced the legend in Wisconsin, Granato, and he's doing the job too. So, but yeah, the Gophers. I mean, let's face it. You don't lose 5 NHLers, including 3 really good ones,
Yeah.
and have anywhere near the team you had last year. That's for sure.
Safe to say Brock Faber would have been the best player on the Gophers this year, since he's the best player on the Wild this year.
Yes, that's true. That's unbelievable. Yeah, and Nice is one of the greatest players that the Gophers have ever had.
Yeah.
I think this big, strong, mean forward playing. He's in Toronto, right? I think he's in Toronto.
He is.
Right?
And Logan Cooley's. I mean, they had
doing well for Phoenix. So
shake your head just at the fact that those guys, they had a great year. They could have won it, but they're just coming up short in that last game. That one, like, how did they not win? How did they not win with that team? That was a team.
I love Bob, and I go back to St. Cloud with him. I went up there a few times and did stuff on him, but the not having Faber on the ice when they started overtime turned out to be a bit of a flaw.
Yeah,
since they scored in 10 seconds.
Yes, that was maybe not the best.
That was the worst finish in history.
Not the best decision.
What?
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
Yeah.
What happened?
I know it.
Yeah. Anyway. But
well,
yes, I gotta say that I was going to plunge into the Taylor Swift.
Yes, you wrote about it.
I was gonna do the making fun of the right wingers who were upset with this.
Yeah,
but I decided it would be more fun to write about how much fun it is.
Sure.
That it's going on, because that'd annoy him more. If you throw a hand grenade at him saying, you're a bunch of idiots, then you. But if you But my theory was, I'm gonna write how much fun this is, because it is. What the hell? It's I don't understand what people are upset about.
I don't either. It's the weirdest thing.
To lecture them on that would have just served their purposes, right? So, I decided not to. But it's I mean, she's in Japan on Saturday night, and she's going to be in the back of that Delta flight flying back to Las Vegas to be at the game on Sunday, right? Well, maybe she'll fly private.
I think she's flying
maybe
private.
She'll fly private.
She's time traveling. I think we read she's going. You go across the international date line, so she'll leave and she'll get there, and it'll be earlier than when she left. It's a good. That's a good way to travel. That's a good way to travel. I'd like to do that sometime.
But we can't say that she's I love the fact we shouldn't have to watch her after every time he scores a touchdown. Really, he scores about 8 a year.
Yeah, and she's on camera for like 30 seconds a game.
Yeah, 30 seconds. What are people? What's wrong with people?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's unbelievable. It's football. We don't want women. We don't want young kids watching football. Never often do you watch football and say, "Boy, that was fun." You don't say fun. You say, "Man, that was gruesome and exciting and everything," right. But you don't say that was fun.
Yeah, that was cool. Look at that! Look at that thing that happened. That was neat. Yeah, you don't say that about football usually. You're right.
That's not football. They're trying to kill each other, and all of a sudden you got every 9-year-old girl in America wants to. My buddy Suchere, he's got a bunch of granddaughters who are upstairs, and if they hear Taylor's on, they have to come down. He's got to back up the TV so they can watch her for 12 seconds. So, how she got. And she can't be accused of stealing her money. She does 3-hour shows and does these unbelievable work. So what are people complaining about? I don't know.
She did pretty well at the Grammys last night too. So I don't know. It's all good. I would be more upset about it if it seemed like more manufactured. It seems you look at it enough and you're like, okay, this feels pretty genuine. Let's just let it be.
It's not like she needs it.
No,
no. she likes the big lump.
Yeah, there you go.
I talked to my friend Lori from the station for the column Sunday, and she says that she's had all these jackass boyfriends who get jealous of her, and this guy he's not jealous. So unbelievable. Anyway.
All right. Good, Super Bowl's in 6 days. It should be a good game, but the Taylor Swift angle will dominate a lot of it too.
Well, that's which will really drive a certain segment of the population crazy. But meanwhile, their hero Tucker Carlson's over interviewing Putin, so that ought to make them happy. They like Putin better than Taylor Swift. That's an interesting twist there. So,
all right, Patrick. Well, next time we talk, it'll be after the Super Bowl. I'm sure we'll have plenty to say about the game itself, but also probably about Taylor Swift and everything else. Till then, enjoy the weather. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Mike.